know, Sun Ra fans understood that Sun Ra was someone unique. They didn't go to hear him like they would go to hear maybe Sinatra, Tony Bennett, or some of the singers or some of the popular bands. They went for an experience. And I want to tell you something, the musicians always had the greatest experience. Playing with him was the experience. And so I wanted to have some of the musicians to tell you what it was like, what impressed them about Sun Ra, things that you might not otherwise have access to. So first we can go with Art Hoyle, because he's a distinguished musician. And he was with Sun Ra on some of the early records, I think in the 50s, right? Okay, so Art, let's give us your impressions.
All right. My introduction to Sun Ra was through John Gilmore. He and I were in the Air Force together down in San Antonio, Texas. And he got up maybe 2 years ahead of me. And when I was discharged and came home, he got in touch with me and told me about this wonderful band he was working with. Maybe I'd be interested in coming over. So I came over and auditioned and was hired. And played with the band throughout. I joined the band in December of 1955. And we started recording shortly thereafter. We also worked regularly at a club on the south side, Robert's Show Lounge on South Parkway, for a group called the Rounders. No squares allowed, that's where they got their name. And it was made up primarily of postmen and policemen and firemen and truck drivers and guys that just loved jazz. And we played Sunday afternoon concerts, and there was dancing, and they enjoyed the music a great deal. We also played way north on Broadway. In those days, it felt like we were going to Milwaukee. It seemed so far. In the 50s north on Broadway seemed eons away. Now that's everyday occurrence. But in 1956, that was quite a distance. And we played opposite a group called the Compass Players, which included Mike Nichols and Elaine May and Shelley Berman and all those people who went on to become Second City. And they do 40 minutes and we do 40 minutes, and we relieved each other in that way. And it was on that occasion I discovered what a tremendous pianist Sun Ra was, because on some occasions he would just play solo things. One night I remember particularly he played Stardust. It was absolutely some of the most incredible piano playing I've ever heard before or since. And we also worked at Robert's Show Lounge, not Robert's Show Lounge, I mentioned it earlier, at a place called Budland, which was in the basement of the Persian Hotel on Cottage Grove. And we were playing there opposite Dinah Washington when Clifford Brown and Richie Powell were killed on their way here to play at the Blue Note. That was in 1956 as well. And on that evening, Sonny Rollins and Max Roach, who were a part of that group that Clifford and Richie Powell were in, happened to be already in town, and they came by, and it was a very touching situation. They had just been killed that evening, and Dinah Washington sang Goodbye, dedicated to Clifford, and, you know, there were plenty of tears were shed. And those are just some of the memorable moments, but it was quite an experience. I was with the band for just over 1 year. I started in December of 55 and left and joined Lionel Hampton's band early in 1957, in about February or March of 57. But it was a wondrous experience for me. We rehearsed 5 days a week at Pat Patrick's house here on the south side. And 5 days a week we were there for long hours, 5 and 6 hours a day, because the music was quite difficult, and it took that much rehearsal to play it, because he had gave no quarter as far as the capabilities of each instrument. He just wrote the notes down that he wanted to hear, and you stayed there and practiced until you could play them. And they were quite difficult. Brass players are not accustomed to jumping around intervals like that. So to play his music, you had to do that. So it was quite an experience, quite a learning experience, and very rewarding. We played dances all over, and the people danced to this music. We played ballrooms on the west side, on the south side, all over the Chicago area. And I didn't have the experience of going on the road with them, but some of these guys did in later years. But I was still in New York when they came down from Montreal, and they all came by my hotel, and we sat up and talked and laughed and had a great time together. just as I was getting ready to come home, they were just getting to New York, which was in 1961. And I was about to come back to this area by that time. But it was very musically enriching experience for me, and I shan't forget it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Arthur Hall, a great trumpet player. Glad to claim him. We'd like to hear from James Scales now. He played with him in the 50s also. So,
my experience with Sun Ra was in the early 50s, and one thing that I really recall was that we were working on some tunes, and him and I think Pat was around, and John Gilmore was around, and it was a certain sound that he wanted out of these particular notes to fit in with what he was saying, would coincide with what Art was saying about the sound. I was hitting this note, and I had a sound that he would listen to it, and he would say, no, that's not it. And the thing about it is that I couldn't understand, because I thought that it was something, something. I said, well, it's in tune. He'd say, don't worry about that, play it like this. And I kept on doing it, and I kept on doing it, and I kept on doing it. And then finally he said, well, that's it. And when he said that, then I realized what had happened. What had happened during my experiences of playing that, like that. Well, I developed something that gave some overtones that made the sound what he wanted to hear, and that's what I've been trying to project now. This album that they did on Transition, one of the first albums, I think it was 1956, and it was May the 26th. Well, anyhow, then he had the group there, and the thing that happened the most was that we played and recorded that first big album. And one of the other albums that I was on was a Saturn album, and this particular album I did a tune that was called, believe it or not, Springtime in Chicago. And the thing about that was that he said, come on down to the studio with us today. So him, Patterson, and Wilbur Green was there, and himself and I, we went down, and we get set up and everything, and he hands me this sheet of music here, and it's on it, it has a melody. So he said, yeah, play it, you play it. So he had a Wurlitzer portable piano, and this was one of the first ones that they had when they first came out with the small electronic ones. And he wasn't used to that particular sound at that time, because he was used to mostly uprights at that time. So he made a little intro, and I went through it, and I said, well, I'll play this exactly like he had projected for me too. And so as I was going through, and I got into it, and it started beginning to feel it. So I did one course, he did a course, and I took it out. And I was saying, well, let's take another take. He said that was it. And to my surprise, he kept it. So therefore, I was pleased with that it was satisfactory to work under those circumstances. And not only that, but Sun Ra had an amazing way of looking when things were pleased and when things weren't exactly as they should. And as long as you were able to produce by that, going on the inside of yourself and producing what was required to put the essence of your ability to play, that's what he appreciated. And that's why John Gilmore was so dear to him, and Pat Patrick, because both of those fellows really, really worked hard with it. Okay.
All right. Thank you so much, Dan Scales.